South Africa have lost the last ODI after winning the series, but they lost to England in a very important match, I would say, by 59 runs. And it was quite an entertaining game, I must say. As a neutral watching this game, but you all know I'm a Proteas fan, but as a neutral, I would say it was a fantastic game to watch. I'm sure that the Kimberley crowd were really enjoying this particular game. Now, this particular game was something all about the conditions. It was about reading the conditions correctly. It was about obviously making sure that you can get an early advantage. But South Africa, again, in the middle overs, have slipped. Hats off goes to Klaasen today. He's my man of the match from South Africa's perspective, of course. But Josh Butler was just phenomenal with his 100 and David Malan. And that really set up England and really gave them the opportunity to be able to play the way they did. But this is the review show. We're going to be talking about everything that has to do with this game. But before we get going, before we get started, I would like you guys to do a couple of things for me, please. Please subscribe to this channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now and in the description. And also, what I'd like you guys to do is to help us grow and promote South African cricket. By doing that, you can become a patron today. There are different tiers. There are tiers that are very affordable. There's middle tiers and there's very expensive tiers. There's also sponsorship tiers. So if you guys want to send us your sponsors to our event as well, or to our Patreon page, you can send them there and you can let them read up what we offer, and then they can also get involved with the company and also help us grow and promote South African cricket, but also help us grow as Cricket Fanatics magazine. Also, I would like you guys to go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all regular updates. The report is live right now by Mark, so please go and read that. It's right there on the site for you guys to read right now, so go ahead and support him as well and share his report as well. A very good summary of everything that happened in today's match. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's. Evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. I'm live in Joburg actually, guys. So I'm here for the SA20. I flew up today and I'm going to be covering majority of the Wanderers and Centurion games, or I tried my best to get to Centurion. It's very far, but I will try my best to get there too. But mainly from a Wanderers perspective, I want to give a behind the scenes of one of the biggest grounds one of the best grounds in the country, one of the best fan bases in the country as well. And I want to get an understanding of the fans and everybody that's there. So I'm live from Joburg right now. I covered the game, obviously watched it on TV, and it started off brilliantly. When I looked at the lineup, I said it's exactly the lineup that I thought they would go with. Actually, I knew Magala would play, I knew Lungi would play, and I knew they would rest someone like Anrich Nokia. We missed Anrich today. I must say that we missed his pace, we missed his ferocity, we missed everything about him on the pitch today. We saw how Jofra Archer really was excellent today. On this pitch, we knew, at least I knew, that it was going to get better and better to bat on as the day went along. So striking up front and keeping on the pressure was very important. And I would say that South Africa did that for majority of the game. It took two beautiful knocks from David Malan and it took a beautiful knock by Josh Butler to get us into a situation that we found ourselves in. We ended up obviously having to chase a massive total again. And it was interesting to see how South Africa actually went about their business. 346 for 7 was England's score, and we needed 347 to win. With regards to the bowlers, I think Marco Jansen bowled excellently up front, and I think Lungi Ngidi did, but they punished him heavily in the middle overs. Sasanda Magala struggled today, even though he got a wicket, but he was struggling in that middle overs. It's a difficult pitch to bowl on with regards to the type of bowler Magala is. It would have always been difficult for him on this pitch, and I thought that, but I hoped that he could get more Yorkers in, and not only try and bowl the shorter delivery, slower deliveries, because that's obviously going to go right into the arc of batters that have their eye in. But credit goes to Josh Butler, credit goes to David Malan for the way they played, and to Moeen Ali once again, because those partnerships really set up the game for England and put them in a situation that they found themselves in. with a chance to win this final match. Now, I want you guys to first understand about the Super League points and how it works. South Africa would have, if they beat England today, it would have been a 3-0 whitewash. And then from there, they would, if they beat the Netherlands 2-0, that meant automatic qualification. The situation is still in South Africa's hands, however. So, in the situation that we are currently in, we just need to beat the Netherlands, and we need to hope that New Zealand will beat Sri Lanka in New Zealand 2-0. Sorry, 3-0. Um, Actually, they just need to beat Sri Lanka in one game, and it already sets South Africa up to qualify. So, what we need to happen is New Zealand needs to win that series. That's something we all need to keep the eye on New Zealand and hope that and I back them to beat Sri Lanka. I think they're a much better unit. I think they're a much better ODI team. So I hope that they can do us a favor and actually beat Sri Lanka so that if they do, we just need to beat the Netherlands 2 games and we can qualify. But we mustn't underestimate them. I want to see a strong team played against the Netherlands because when we underestimated them in the World Cup, T20 World Cup, it, look what happened. We got beaten quite convincingly by the Netherlands, and it was quite embarrassing. You saw my rant after the game, and yeah, I was very disappointed about it. So yeah, let's get into this. Let's get straight into the rest of this game. I want to also highlight the batters. So Temba Bavuma, he looks like he's really improved his game. He's playing a lot quicker. He's looking a lot more solid. He's looking a lot more comfortable at the crease, and he really got off to a good start. It's unfortunate that he couldn't kick on. I mean, he got 35 of 27 balls. He hit 1 6 and 5 fours, and unfortunately, he lost his wicket. Riza Hendricks, beautiful, coming in again under a pressure situation when there's a big player missing. He comes in and he performs. That was brilliant from him on my part. I think he needs to get some plaudits as well. But the guy that I think is again failing us in the 30s is Aiden Markram. He looked so good for his 39. I mean, 2 6s and 1 4. He was running well between the wickets. He was batting at the strike rate of 111. And he really looked really, really good. And I was hoping that he would kick on, maybe score a massive 100 to really show people that he deserves to be in this ODI side. He's making it very difficult for everybody. He's making it difficult for the selectors. And I really hope he can turn the corner because we really need him in that number 4 spot, especially the way he bowls. I mean, he bowled today. He bowled a couple of overs and he went for naught for 35. I mean, he was decent today. He wasn't too bad. I wouldn't give him too much criticism, but he was okay. He wasn't too bad today. Although going at an economy rate of 8.75 is not really good in ODI cricket right now, especially when you need to throttle the opposition and stop them from scoring. But he is pivotal to the team. But it is possible for them to bring another spinner that can bat too, someone like George Linder, who can maybe bat lower down the order or maybe even at 5 or 6 and move David Miller up the order. I think would be a much smarter move. And even maybe a Heinrich Klaassen if Aiden Markram can't continuously play at the level that that we expect him to play. So I need to talk about someone, and that's Heinrich Klaassen. My word, what an innings. The way he batted, the way he controlled his innings. I mean, 80 of 62 balls at the strike rate of 129. He was brilliant today. And as well, his partnership with Wayne Parnell. Losing his wicket, however, was so sad because I really thought that he would get us over the line. But I think that he is a definite that needs to stay in this team. It's very important that he does. I think he's very important to the side. And he's been really batting beautifully. And I think also Shukri trusts him. I think he will get along very well with Rob Walter as well. So I think he's pivotal in this team. So that's my little summary of the game. I'm just going to read some of the comments before I bring on my co-host today. Kelly's going to join him today, and I want to get her vibes as well on the game. Aditya saying Aiden was playing well. Klaassen put on a good knock, 100% DT. I agree with you. Lorenzo saying, Khalid, can you remember how I was laughed at when I said Klaassen would be a consistent member of the Proteas white ball team? Not by you, of course, but I think we should put respect on the man's name. 100%, Lorenzo. You are 100% correct there. Come on, Aiden. It was just yours and Miller's match, buddy. They could have really taken us over the line. It was perfectly set up for them. The way Temba Bavuma set up that innings with Riza Hendricks, I mean, he took majority of of the attack. Riza Hendricks was trying to get himself in and taking his time. And he really set up the game nicely because it gave our middle order an opportunity to take to take the game away. We were constantly way ahead of England throughout this match, and unfortunately, we just ran out of wickets, and that's the main thing at the crucial times in the game when we really needed our players to step up. But as I said, it's not out. It's out. It's not completely out of our hands. I would say, oh, well, it is a kind of out of our hands right now because we need to beat the Netherlands and we need to hope, or we need to back New Zealand to beat Sri Lanka 3-0 or just beat Sri Lanka in the series. Good to see how the guys generally gets their rub of the green when it comes to selection, getting runs today, time to take HK seriously. In my opinion, he nailed on for the World Cup in India. 100%. He's one of the best players in the world against spin, in my opinion. Definitely one of the best players in South Africa against spin. So you're going to India in spinning conditions. I think Hani Klassen is a no-brainer in my eyes. Let's read a couple of more comments at the end here, more recent comments, and then I'll get Kelly on the show because I really want to get her take on things and what she thinks about this particular match. Can't blame the batters. Bowlers let us down. The bowlers did to an extent, but also it's very difficult to contain Josh Butler when he's in the flow of things and really seeing the ball like that. It was a smaller ground as well, so they really, really set themselves up nicely. We play Netherlands on the 31st of March, which looks like it's in the middle of the IPL from what I'm seeing. Yes, it does seem like that. But I still want to see a good, strong team. I still want to see a strong team, of course. So we lost by 59 runs, of course, and that was a shame. But we have to look forward. We need to take the positives out of this because we did win 2-1 in the series, and it was very important. Shamsi was very disappointing today. I agree with you. He is a very good talent, and he has Rispin, and he's just been incredibly off form. I'm hoping he can turn around the corner because his record in India and in the subcontinent is pretty decent. So I'm hoping that he can turn things around and really, really play well. Especially against the Netherlands, we're going to need him with his googlies, etc. Okay, let's get Kelly on the show. I'm excited to hear what she has to say. Welcome to the show, Kelly. How are you doing? And what are your thoughts on the game? Did I catch you? I didn't catch you in load shedding this time. You're just on mute.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, yeah, wherever is best lies in in this darkness.
That's perfect.
Um, so you can hear me.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good fight considering we were lacking a bit of experience in the bowling lineup. On a small ground, which has been more or less a batter's paradise. I've seen guys coming in there at 6, 7, making hundreds. Well, this has been first class cricket, but it's an easy pace pitch. It's not easy to bowl on. Um, the one thing I must say for Reza Hendricks is that it's really nice to see him going at his original home ground for Northern Cape
Mm-hmm.
because he's a Northern Cape boy. And I know that he did take a little while to get going, but again, Timber was up there with the rates. You know, he sensed, I'll play aggressor now and give you time to get in. It just seems as though he's sensing the game so much better these days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we did miss Anrich Nortje. He's the only, other than Marco Jansen with his bounce, he's the only guy with the pace to get it through without it costing runs. Um, but I mean, that's the risk you take with bowler rotations. I have a feeling that if you played Sisanda Migala in a day game, you'd battle with issues such as dehydration and cramp in 30-degree heats. I favoured him playing in the 2-day nighters. Even if he was bowling in the afternoon, it was the late afternoon.
Mm.
We did concede a few too many. Lungi's death bowling isn't quite what it has been. You know, it isn't quite where it has been in the past. But that also needs to be said in light of the fact that we are trying new combinations. And none of the bowlers really came off in this instance. Especially like unless you count the early overs when Gidi like he was brilliant with the new ball.
Yeah.
Just I mean, if it came down to new ball bowlers, I mean, he'd be my first pick. And Parnell at times was also excellent. So it's just about finding the right combos in the right areas, because I still think the bowler rotation thing does need to happen. And I
Hmm.
think especially in series as short as these, because you can't run on momentum alone because it's going to tire men out.
Hmm. You know,
Um, and
I'm
then,
worried about
sorry?
Lungi though. I'm worried about Lungi specifically in the middle overs. Like normally he's really good there and at the death.
Yeah, he was really good there in the second game, and now he's played 2 games in a row, which might have been which, and he was good in the beginning, good in the middle, poor at the death in the previous fixture. And this one, he was he was great in the beginning, but poor in other areas. So I wonder whether the playing 2 games in a row might not have been the right fit for him. Um, but again, it is the middle of a congested season, and he has played a lot of cricket for the PAL Royals. I mean, people say something like it should make a difference that a Magala hasn't been bowling much international fixtures as say Kakisa Rabada, so it's understandable. But it's not just about mental fatigue; it's about physical fatigue because before the SA20 started, Magala bowled the full One Day Cup and then the full SA20. Didn't skip a game. And then started right into the first game for the Proteas. So that's a lot of cricket, and he didn't get the benefit of rest at all. Um, and a guy like Anrich Nortje is a good few years younger. And even though he probably could have managed the 3 games in a row, because Parnell, shout out to him for doing it. Um, he probably could have managed that, but would you risk it for our form bowler this year?
Mm.
And then Heinrich Klaassen, of course. It's about. I'm going to say it's about time for him, because in the last 2 games he's gotten there and thereabouts and then gotten out.
Mm.
And it's nice to see him push on.
Yeah, I've always said we want to see our batters actually take us over the line when they start scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pity is he didn't take us over the line there, and I hope that, in future he can, even though he's not the youngest player in the world. Um, it's just also that people shouldn't forget Wayne Parnell's also there and has an ability to bat. Because he did show some ability to bat there with him in the end. You have to trust him as a batter. He had enough overs left to play a
Mm.
proper innings.
He needs a partner, Parnell. He's the type of guy that does well in partnerships. We saw at the Pretoria
Mm,
Capitals as well, when there's someone at the other end also helping him out. When he's
does
coming in,
brilliantly.
yeah, when he's coming in and he needs to go and smack the ball out the park immediately, that's not his strength. He's the type of
Mm.
guy that needs a couple of overs. He needs to run between the wickets and then get
And he
going.
had that. And the thing is, I think maybe at some point, you get a bit of red mist as a batsman, especially in something that is a dead rubber, but not a dead rubber in terms of points. You want to score those runs as quickly as possible, because you're not sure about Magala batting. Um, in this sort of format because he hasn't had much experience. He never had to do it for the Lions. He hasn't done it in ages.
Mm.
So that might have really had an effect on the way that they played the game. But I think that when Parnell plays his natural game and doesn't try and rotates the strike and gets Klaasen on strike more often, he's the more established batsman. He's not the all-rounder. Get him on strike more often and have him do the hard yards, because when he has that responsibility, when he doesn't feel like the game is going too easily, that's when he plays his best.
Yeah.
I found that when he thinks, there's you've got a David Miller with me, I've got a Russies with me, Temba's made 100, someone else has scored, I don't need to score. That extra bit of responsibility is actually something Klaasen tends to relish in certain circumstances. He's done it for DSG, whether it's been in winning or losing causes. But look, he's another guy who also needs a little bit of time to get in. So possibly you are missing someone down the order who can hit. And that's a pity that Marco Jansen didn't come off this time, but he's not going to every single time.
Yeah. You know what surprised me though in this throughout the series, Kelly, is that the fact that we didn't play two spinners once in the series. That shocked me a bit because I was really hoping that we would try the two spinner option. I mean, England played it like that. If we had Maharaj, I know they're both out of form, unfortunately. I mean, I would love to see maybe George Linde and Bjorn Fortuin come into this team somehow. Because if Bjorn comes into that game when Shamsi came in, we win the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're gonna anger people by saying that, I told you before, like with the balance of the squads here and the types of wickets they're playing on, I'm not so sure about slow left armers. Like Shamsi is a wrist spinner. None of our other wrist spinners are up there in terms of ability at the moment. And they're all going to. I mean, I can't recall many wrist spinners in the One Day Cup even making much of an impact. There are some young ones who could do a job. We've got an Offie and Aiden. We could have an array of part-time off spinners in future, and Brevis in T20s to begin with. There we've got someone who can have his wrist spin developed. But the thing is, I just didn't. The only you really need someone to be able to dart it in and keep the runs down. So if Bjorn Fortuin was that man versus like Kierflinde, then yes. If Kierflinde was that man versus Bjorn Fortuin, and the thing is, like, we could have done with batting deep here,
Yes.
especially since we had Shamsi and Lungi with at the back end, and frankly, they they run competitions amongst themselves over who is the number 11. They know they can't bat. You've got the only bunnies in the SA side batting there.
Yeah.
So if that was the game to swap one of them out, and Lugi's played a lot of cricket, like swap him out for an all-rounder spinner, for example, somebody who can keep the runs down at one end, even if it's a slow left armer, but someone who is good off his own bowling, who
I mean,
doesn't let many four balls go by,
I mean, if
who
Aiden's not doing
darted
well,
in.
yeah, continue. Sorry, yeah.
Well, Aiden has a knack of taking wickets, but I wouldn't push him past 4 overs. So, like, I still think you need Keflin Linda, in this sort of lineup where you're gonna have to play the risk of a of a wrist spinner possibly, because he's the only spinner who's going to make a difference on this sort of wicket.
Yeah.
But and also gives you the option of having a specialist wrist spinner, a slow left armer, and an off spinner, part-time off spinner. So and at least you can make sure that your over rate is not behind the eighth ball.
That's excellent points there, because I mean, there's another guy that someone just mentioned in the comment section that we haven't really spoken about that's doing really well in SA20 at the moment, and that's Vian Libber, that also bats up the
Yeah,
order and also has that right arm off break. So, I mean, that's another option that we could maybe look at. I mean, if we can get Sir Brian ready as well. I mean, Sir Brian is also a very
yeah. So
talented off spinner.
very talented off spinner and an all-rounder. And the thing is,
Mm.
Lib is also an all-rounder, but the thing is to fit him into the squad in terms of batting would
Yeah.
mean maybe taking Aiden out.
Yes. That's what I'm thinking at now, because I mean, at the moment, we can't keep on. I always say it, like whenever I watch Aiden play in ODI cricket, I call it, normally people say the nervous 90s. I call it the nervous
Mm.
30s for Aiden. It's literally the
Yeah, it
nervous
is.
30s.
It is.
If we go look at the amount of times he's been dismissed in 30s, that's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't want Aiden drop because I'm a big fan, but
Mm.
he can't keep on
Likewise.
doing this. You know, he can't keep on doing this. Like every time he gets close to the biggest milestone, he loses his wicket with hundreds and in 50s in this particular format.
And today he got caught again. Like the last game, you know, you could forgive. He got the googly. It happens, but most of his games he'll get caught. He'll give his wicket away. He'll just play a terrible shot. Like his shot selection has been awful. It's been that way through test matches and in the odd T20, as well as in a lot of ODIs. I think
Yeah.
the 49 he played quite well. But I mean, Aiden's the type of player who has no reason to automatically want to, you know, play everything to the leg side, because I've seen him manipulate his crease beautifully. He's manipulated his crease beautifully to play into the offside to take advantage of a short boundary
Mm.
to give himself room. Plays
He
the
gets
most
himself
beautiful
out.
cover drives.
I think he's
He's
now, that's like his 30. I think, I don't know how many times he's been out, but he keeps on getting caught out every single time,
yes,
like majority of his
exactly.
dismissals.
This must be the 30th by now. I think Vanna had the stats up. It must be about
Yeah.
30 now. Or at least it's 27 in 30 innings or something like that in ODIs.
Mm.
And that's the problem. And yes, Aiden can be dropped. He doesn't have to be dropped permanently. He's young.
Yeah.
He, especially as a batsman, it's just people are saying can't drop Aiden. It's like saying can't drop Quinton.
Mm. I mean, everybody's
Like
droppable, in my opinion.
it is. It's the
Maybe
same.
except
It's
the
the same.
captain.
Oh no. Well, now in this series, the captain is certainly not droppable the way he's batting.
Yeah.
But like captains are not indispensable.
Mm. Someone asked about Lewis Deploy. He's now registered to play for England, so he can't play for South Africa.
Is he registered now?
Yeah,
Because
he's an English international. Like if you look at him on the SA20 list, England's next to, for England's flag is next to his name.
but I mean, is he
Whereas
in the
with David
process of
Bedingham,
qualifying, or could we
he's
still
qualified.
call him while he's in the process?
No, he's qualified. Um,
The thing
Otherwise, they would have
Lewis,
done what they did with David Bedingham. Like David Beddingham's name had a South African
he's
flag next to his name.
overseas. He's
Yeah,
overseas.
but
He's
he's in the
local,
process of
yeah.
qualifying.
He's in the process, but we can't call him
Yes,
if he chooses to
David
play
Bedingham
for
we
us.
can. Yeah, but Lewis Deploy we can't, unfortunately.
Yeah, but David Bedingham still listed as overseas for the time being with I think with his county side. But the fact is though with middle order batsmen, do you pick guys who like that might seem controversial, but do you pick guys who want to play Test cricket for South Africa, or do you pick them because they want to play Test cricket just like just because they want to play Test cricket?
I mean, I would want him to play Test cricket for South Africa, of course.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it, it
And David
comes
does.
to
I
that
mean, I've had plenty of. It's the
but
fact that they never contacted him. Like, they never spoke to him. Like, Victor still hasn't spoken to him, which is a shock to me.
I found though, like I've heard along the grapevine some stories about how you kind of need to make yourself available. You know, you can't give preference to your English county over and above these sort of SA representative tours. And I think a lot of this happened around the time like when they were picking SA tours, and he suddenly wouldn't have been available because it would have been in the off season for South Africa, and it would have been the English season.
Mm.
And I think that might have soured a few, or might have caused a few sour grapes here and there. Like I'm not denying he's a talented player, but it's it's a it's a strange scenario where there are many players who would um who would have their their dream set on South Africa first, out without alternatives, and stick around regardless of whether playing in you know various leagues worldwide would earn them more money. I noticed a lot of the younger players didn't sign up for PSL.
Yeah.
They were satisfied with IPL and SA20. And it seems as though that there are those players in South Africa who don't have the benefit of being able to sort of, I wouldn't say he's holding a passport over over Cricket South Africa's head, but sometimes you can't blame selectors for feeling that way when you do have other talented players coming through the system year in and year out. I
Hmm.
was at Coke Week with David Bedingham, and I watched him. Didn't quite light the bonfire. Had a good record, but his domestic record is also. I mean, a lot of it you need to split it between when he plays here versus when he plays in England.
Hmm.
He
He's
needs
been
to
good for
go.
Province, though.
He has been good for Province, and the problem there is also in the middle order. Now, where do you fit him in with guys like Rix, who would presumably play in the middle order when they play longer formats?
Yeah.
Guys like Carl Verena, even the older guys. I mean, Beddingham's not the youngest, and then the guys like Claassen, who've been putting on the runs to add that bit of experience. That you can't keep saying it's one thing or the other keeping you out. Cricket is a game where there's numerous correct options. I mean, you could pick a guy tomorrow and he could be the next superstar, but that doesn't mean the guy you didn't pick couldn't have been, just as good.
Yeah.
It's
You,
it's like an economic trade-off.
mm. Do you know what the problem also I have with Aiden is that it's not Aiden itself that I have a problem with, because like I said, I'm a big fan and I would never, I want him to score runs as much as possible. The problem though is the IPL. Two times when he needed to play ODIs, he had to go play IPL cricket. Now again, we need him in the Netherlands series, and he's going to go play IPL cricket. So the problem is that whenever he's getting some momentum and trying to get himself like some
Mm.
momentum in ODI cricket, he gets pulled away by T20 cricket, and that shouldn't be the case. If he wants to make the ODI side, he needs to play every game for South Africa in ODI so that he can really push himself and get to that level that we know he can. Because I've seen him be so destructive in the List A format when he played for the Titans. I mean, record-breaking
Yeah.
run
Well,
scoring. just haven't hasn't been able to do it internationally for South Africa consistently enough. I mean, he keeps on going out in the 30s, like I said, and also gets caught every single time. His own shots
Mm.
gets him caught out, and that's my worry about him. Let's talk about some other players, Kelly. Who else? Who else really impressed you today?
Um, Obviously, as I've said, Lungi Ngidi in the opening overs. I love the opening bowlers, in fact. Um, Clarkson, because I'd been disappointed with him with the brain farts that he'd had in previous innings. He'd been getting out for 20 odd, and I feel he owed that slightly, more mature innings. I also enjoyed the way Wayne began to bat with him. At that point, it felt like the series was a little, like not the series, the game was a little lost because while Magala can bat, he's not, you know, um, particularly adept at doing so. He's out of practice. I mean, he's got the raw materials, but he hasn't batted for the Lions for a while. Um, Marco Jansen, I would have preferred to see a bit more from him, but as a 22-year-old player, you're not going to see him bat the same way day in or day out. I'm just glad that he's getting the opportunity, and I'm glad the bowlers have been fully rotated this series with only Parnell coming in each game.
Mhm.
Reza Hendricks as well, another performer. He seemed to get rid of the shackles that had been. I know it's a different format, of course, but he seems to become progressively a lot smoother throughout the innings. Even though it seemed though that Temba took a slight leadership role in the beginning so that he could settle in, but he really did come into his own. And I had hoped he would continue a little bit longer because ODI form and one day form is something you don't often see on a consistent basis from Reza Hendricks. Usually needs a platform to be set for him, then he'll come good. Like it's been quite an inconsistent one day cup for him, and he spent a lot of time warming the bench over the past little while. And I really enjoyed seeing him actually start to cut loose. He was playing some really lovely shots there at one point.
Yeah. Okay. Let's sum it up, guys. I think we're reaching the end of the show. I'm just gonna read up some comments over here, Kelly, and if you see anything that jumps out to you that you want to say something about, then you can go ahead. I think this one is a little bit harsh that I saw here now. Evan Jones in for Parnell because Jansen he's a lefty. I don't agree with that. Parnell's been excellent with
No,
the
no,
ball.
no, 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 no. Sorry. I
She's
know that
clearly
seems
said her views
harsh.
there.
I know that seems harsh, but if you've watched Evan Jones bat, he is incredibly talented. But Parnell, you don't only need one lefty, and you can have two lefties in a team. Western Province were playing them for
Hmm.
ages and made the final of the One Day Cup. Evan Jones
I
isn't
think
in the
Western Province
same
had three.
wheelhouse. Western Province
Western
had
Province had,
three, and they played
yeah.
two at any given time. With
Mm,
Chepo Mareki just filling in as the as a designate right armer, and he
mm.
was probably one of their best performers, if not their best performer. Evan Jones is not in the Parnell wheelhouse. He can make a big hit and he can hit straight and he can hit far. But the thing is, I worry about him in middle overs when you're in this situation where Parnell comes in and you've batted 30 overs and you've got 20 overs to bat or 15 overs to bat. And I've seen Evan Jones play big shots but not clever ones. He's an he's he's definitely he's definitely a 7 or an 8, certainly more so in T20 cricket, But if you need somebody to sort of help you construct an innings, if you want to trust the batsman at the other end, there's just a gulf in experience between the two of them. If people think Parnell's only in the side as a lefty, they really are doing an injustice to his bowling, frankly.
Yeah, his swing bowling is exceptional. He's currently the best swing bowler that we have currently in this team, I think.
I mean, did people forget how he was bowling earlier today? I mean, he and Ngidi Ngidi more so than Parnell, but when Parnell is on song, he's unplayable.
Mhm. Kani says Khalid Linder can give you the same output as Shamsi with the bowling and in field better and
No.
with the bat better. Maybe when it comes to, like, if you look at wickets, maybe, and you look at economy rates, maybe, and you look at it from that perspective, yes, perhaps, because in this particular wicket he probably would have done well and he can bat. But a wrist spinner, I don't like to compare left arm normal spinners to wrist spinners, because I think that a wrist spinner has something special that you just can't imitate. And sometimes wrist spinners do go for a lot of runs, but Shamsi's been poor lately, and we have to call it out when it is like that. Particularly in ODIs, I'm worried about Shamsi in ODIs. Um, if we're going to use our spinners as wicket takers, purely wicket takers, then I think a combination of Bjorn and George can work, if that's going to be the
Mm.
case, because Bjorn's the wicket taker and you open up the bowling, and then George can hold up an end somewhere in the middle overs or something like that. But if we're going to look at strike bowlers alone, then you're gonna have to look at someone like Shamsi as a possible wicket taker. I'm not saying that George doesn't take wickets, but as a result of putting pressure on batters, he doesn't take wickets as well. So in ODIs it's a bit different. I mean, I think that we could possibly be without a wrist spinner in ODIs. It's a
Mm.
possibility, but not in India. In India, I think Shamsi is a different animal.
The
And completely. And I'm hoping that he gets some momentum in the Netherlands games and the West Indies games, etc., to try and prove everybody wrong again that he's in form, because he's a form player. He's always been
mm.
a type of player that bowls well in form, and then he goes on consecutive runs. He does it in domestic cricket too.
I think Shamsi would be best served in India since we don't necessarily have a wrist spinner that is up there with him at the moment. He would be best served by having even part timers around him that could at least, get things started. You've got Aiden with offies, you've got slow left armers. Um, you've got guys who are. I mean, even if you take a Linda instead of a Bjorn Fortuin, and you want to focus more on the all-rounder aspects and you want to bat deeper, he's not necessarily going to give you the same output as Shamsi with the bowling, because even Linda needed Kesh in Pakistan, and this was in test matches, granted. He needed Kesh to take 2 to 3 wickets in the first 3 out of 4 innings. He took no wickets until the final innings, and even then he needed Kesh to break open the partnerships before he took that Fafa.
Mhm.
He's not always a strike bowler. And while I'd favour Fortuin in T20s for now over Linda in ODIs, it really just depends on what conditions you're playing with. You'd love to
Yeah,
go in with at
true.
least one off spinning option, a wrist spinning option, a slow left armer.
Yeah.
And even if the off spinning option is a part timer, Aiden isn't the worst part timer in the world.
Mm.
And if you add a guy as an impact player, if you work with him, um, it would take a while to get Stubbs' bowling up there, but look, he could be up there. Or you could work with a guy like Devil and
Mm.
have somebody who is a leggy, but he he's a young one, and I'm worried he's not ready for this for ODI cricket as it is.
I
And
mean,
all of
he
our
hasn't even
other
bowled for Mumbai yet.
yeah.
So
So and if they're not willing to trust him with that, he barely bowls for for my Cape Town or Mumbai Indians in the IPL. Um, and thus far he's shown far less or far fewer variations than what Shamsi has. And I don't think that you can compare Linda, who would dart through his overs
yeah,
with a stock delivery, to a Shamsi who is actively trying to get the batsman out.
yeah.
And there are some slow left armers who actively try and get the batsman out. And in India, you know what, you might find that a you could play a two slow left armers together because they are different. But it, it all comes down to picking the right squad.
Okay, Kelly, I'm going to end off with a massive super chat that we just got in right now from Neil Govender. He's been doing
Mm.
super chats for the last couple of shows. Thank you, bro, for the 100 Rand super chat. Well done, bro. That is amazing. He says he disagrees about Aiden playing IPL. IPL allows him opportunity to play in Indian conditions against better opposition, the touch, and unfortunately, secure his financial position for him and his family. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't play in the IPL, and I'm not saying he shouldn't secure the bag. But what I'm saying is that I feel that the IPL has kind of slowed down his ODI form, because every time he gets into a little bit of a groove, like he is currently now, he's getting closer and closer and closer to be consistent. And then all of a sudden, boom, the IPL pulls him away when we need him in an ODI series. And that's my problem, that he doesn't get that momentum, keep that momentum going. You have any comment on that, Kelly, before we say bye to the fans?
Um, yeah, the thing is, I will not prevent players from using the IPL to maximize their earnings when they are earning rands, first of all. And he's found a niche in this form of cricket. He looks like he enjoys it the most. He looks most comfortable, confident. He's taken leadership roles. I mean, particularly with the SA20 was another way to look at his growth as a leader in within the team. And remember, he's not been ideally brought up to be this leader. It's just the type of guy that he is, and he clearly gets a lot of respect from his fellow players. And that's for a team that has no huge names in their setup. They've done remarkably well,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that hopefully the right coaching combination, and I think it does have a lot to do with the environments and the coaching combination. I think at Sunrisers they've got Bakes and AD Burrell, who are possibly the most sort of, they'll recognize even the smallest things on the field and call it out in front of everyone. You know what?
Yeah.
You made a real contribution just by stopping a ball that allowed us to take a wicket because it kept that guy on strike. You know what I mean? Noticing the small things. It's a very relaxed looking camp. I know Bakes can be intense, but like
Yeah, he's indeed.
in the right way, in the right
Yeah.
way. But two of my favorite coaches because of the way that they notice everything that happens on the field,
Yeah.
and they'll
True.
give their players the plaudits for it. And I think that that's an environment he thrives in, and they give him space to speak for himself, even if he's an uneasy speaker sometimes. um you know, I think it's just um a case of allowing Aiden to be Aiden,
Yeah.
which wasn't always which didn't always happen in the
Mhm.
past.
Yeah. Kelly, you summed it up beautifully. Thank you for coming on the show. Thanks to
Pleasure.
everybody for watching as well. Please, I want you guys to do a couple of things for me. Please subscribe. Oh, why are you guys? Why is this thing jumping? Subscribe to the channel, please. Click that notification bell for all future videos. I would like you guys to also please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And we're bringing out the World Cup, Women's World Cup edition very, very soon. In the next couple of days, we will be putting that out before the World Cup starts. I'm so excited about the features that we have in this mag. I'm so excited about who's going to be on the front cover. I'm really excited about this issue, guys. So please support the woman and please download our issue of the magazine. It's free. What you waiting for? Please become a patron to help us grow and promote South African cricket. That's like what Mr. Neil is doing for us on the super chat is amazing, but also the Patreon account is something that's a little bit better. You get a little bit of a benefit. You get to come in our WhatsApp group and you can have direct contact with the Patreons and talk to them about cricket as well. It's a bit dead at the moment because I haven't really been replying that much. I think I should start talking there again and start getting that going again. I haven't really been speaking much there. I've been so busy, guys. Also, smash the like button, comment, and share, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all regular updates. Our report is live at the moment. You can read what Mark had to say about the game. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you to the fans for joining in. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Stay tuned and click the notification bell to get those updates. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out, everyone.
Bye, guys.